Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Nate Wood. I am back to share with you another vlog. I'm going to tell you about my 8-day road trip all the way out to Las Vegas and back, and the different things that happened during the trip.
Break, but melanin made it. All my heritage from the ghetto, but I wouldn't trade it. And ain't no force in my hand on the Bible. I never lose focus again. And though my survival always seemed to depend.
Day one of my trip from Milwaukee to Las Vegas and back. So I think overall, the best way I can describe the first day of the trip was that it was just really smooth. I mean, I remember getting to my hotel in Nebraska. So I went from, Milwaukee to Iowa City, then to Nebraska. It's about, I think, 10 hours of driving. I just remember thinking, man, that really was not that bad. That went by pretty quick. I think something that really helped out with that was getting lunch with my best friend from college, Steve Earlbeck. That was great. I called him the day before to see if he would be available for lunch the next day. He was, so I was really thankful that we were able to do that. And yeah, it was just great. He caught me up on some big things that are happening in his life. But I really think there were prayers too. I think people were praying for me, and yeah, it was a great first day. So it went by really quick, had some great conversations with people, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I don't know if it was people praying for me or what it was, but hoping for the same thing today. About to hit the road. Going to be going through Colorado and Utah, so I think that's going to be awesome. I'm actually really looking forward to it.
All right, day two. I just recall going into Colorado and being just so excited about it because it was the first time I'd ever been to Colorado before. And going into Colorado, just like a series of just really inspiring conversations with people. Jake Worth, Glenn Preston, Benjamin, and I know there were Charles Cotton, who I went to college with. There were I just had a number of really good conversations throughout the course of the day. And then I made a stop downtown Denver, so I got stuck in a little bit of traffic, but pulled up into a parking lot and just walked around for a little while, maybe like an hour or so, and then got back in the car and then hit Red Rocks Park and Amphitheater that were right outside of Denver, and that was amazing. Just this whole day, the best way I can summarize it was just realizing that this is what I was doing. I'm out here in Colorado. I drove out here to Colorado by myself, and my mind is open and it's dreaming again, like dreaming like big dreams.
I'm just going to speak in faith right now that I don't know when or how, but I'm believing that God can do anything, and I believe I'm going to be on that stage someday, proud, just rapping songs, singing songs.
I don't even know if I had dreamt that big in a long time. So this whole trip just like opened up my mind. It allowed me to dream. So that was one of the best parts that I got to experience, and that was on day two. I have just a couple of highlights that come to my mind. I stayed in a Red Roof Inn in Grand Junction night of day two, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night and hearing like people yelling and screaming right outside my little hotel room. I was on the main floor, and they're yelling and screaming. I don't exactly remember what they were saying, but I just remember having like a tremendous amount of fear come over me in that moment, because all of a sudden I realized in that moment that I'm not in Milwaukee. I'm not at my condo. Like, I'm not even just outside of Milwaukee. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, and there is some crazy stuff happening right outside my hotel room. And it just made me think about everything that I was doing, and a lot of stuff came over me, that a lot of like fear and whatnot. But honest to God, I ended up just praying. Like, it wasn't even that long of a period of time where I felt all this stuff. I just prayed about it. I went to bed. When I woke up in the morning, everything was all good. I wanted to just make that known, because that was something that mentally I was dealing with throughout the course of the journey. But anyway, I hit the road at probably like 6 o'clock in the morning, this on day three, and I'm driving through the mountains out just on the far west side of Colorado. It's really dark, and all of a sudden I start to think to myself, like, man, this is like this is a really rare situation that I'm like driving out here at the dawn of the day, right before the sun's gonna come up. And right when that happened, I decided to pull off the side of the freeway, and I parked into a little wilderness area, and I decided I was just gonna wait for the sun to come up. And of course, with the idea of just waiting and wanting to see the sun come up and experiencing that moment in the Colorado mountains, I had to call my boy Timmy Lazaris, because my guy Tim, man, I love him so much. He really put me on to the sunrise and just how beautiful that moment can be when you look that up. So I called him on FaceTime, as you can see right here, and we got to watch the mountains light up with light, and it was just a really cool moment. I'm thankful that Timmy could share that moment with me. And I called Kenan, you know, not too long after, my roommate, for those of you who don't know who Kenan is. And I just FaceTimed him, showed him around like what I was seeing. He thought it was really cool, and just had a good talk with him, and which was big. And yeah, I finally, you know, made my way through Utah for the rest of the day. Utah is very remote. There's not a lot of stuff. There's not a lot of places you can pull off to. So I was a little bit nervous I was going to run out of gas, but fortunately I made my way through Utah. And that is when I finally got into Las Vegas. And I just had a really good feeling going into Las Vegas. I don't know what it is about Las Vegas, but I think it's between, you know, I was thinking about it, and it's, you know, it's the first time I ever went to Las Vegas was for a big basketball tournament when I was in high school. So just, I really felt like when I was there in high school, like I was really chasing the dream. Just being out, like, and walking out on the strip with like my basketball teammates, and then going and playing in games and playing against like some of the best basketball players in the country. I think that really set the tone for how I feel about Las Vegas and what the feelings I've had about it every time I go back there. Of course, my cousin John lived there for about 7 years, and I went and visited him several times there, and just have a ton of really good memories with him, and just who he is in my life and how close we are. And yeah, I think the last time I was in Las Vegas before that, I saw Mike and AR, who I was then going to be staying with this time around, and I think we made 2 records while I was there. So I was like, I remember I was on the phone with my friend Courtney, and I was like, well, last time I was here, this is what came out of it. So we'll see what happens this time. I'm here and see what comes out of it. So that was the whole vibe. It was awesome getting to see Mike, and I wanted to take some time to just talk about Mike and just, you know, what he means in my life, and why he's so inspiring to me. You know, I got there, and not too long after, him and I went to the gym, and, you know, Mike's like taking off his sweatshirt, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, Mike, like, his arms are huge, his chest is really bulged out, and I'm like, bro, I did not remember you looking like this the last time I saw you. And from that point on, I just kind of followed his lead on how he, you know, went about his workouts and things in the gym, and was just really impressed with just how the preparation and the form, the mechanics, just all the different things that he's implemented into his workouts. And then, you know, taking the time to cool down like after the workout, which is like really impressive. You know, that's something that not a lot of like standard, you know, gym rats or people that go to the gym realize, is like you need to cool your body down and not just go in and out, which is what I had been doing prior to, you know. That's just kind of what I fell into. But just to see him like go through the process was like really inspiring, just because that's not the Mike that I remembered. And then from there, we get done with the gym, just feeling really good about everything. And I think we went and picked up AR from he was working down on the strip, so we went and picked him up, and then came back, and Mike made
just how this is
dinner for me, Michelle, his girlfriend, and AR. And like,
so that goes first.
Just seeing Mike like put that all together, and then what like he made, it was like, I was just blown away, honestly. Like, so I think I just wanted to bring some attention to him and just, you know, say, man, it was just great to see his process and see just how he's living, and just how far he's come, just from since I've known him, and I know he's come such a long way. So just major shout out to him, and Mike, if you're watching this, just thank you for inspiring me. So I just wanted to share that with everybody on here. Brought my Bible with me, and I brought like my daily devotional book with me, and I had that sitting on the card table, and I went and read that before everybody woke up, and then took some time to go outside the apartment, and I just put some worship music on, and bro, like, I just got super emotional. Just so many different things rushing to my mind. I can't even really describe like all the different emotions I was feeling. Like, it was just like how far like I had come out, and how far I'd come, and how far like Mike and AR had come, and how far our relationship had come, and it was just like super emotional, and like I just wanted to give God like all the glory for it. And that's what I did, and I just asked him to have favor on this video shoot. I think and I'll talk a little bit about AR, because AR has been he was just so he's so willing to help, is the best way I can describe him. Like he really cares about people. He really wants to do whatever he can to just help other people. Like, I really feel that heart in him, and I felt that he was going to do that for me, but I didn't exactly know how. He had a video guy. I never met him before. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know how it was all going to go. But all I can say from the experience that I had shooting the video on Saturday was that we just had a ton of fun. That was the project that I've been talking about. I'm going to be sharing that with y'all later, just as a little secret there. But I'm just going to share this little video with you. You have to apologize for a little bit of strong language, but I thought this video really captured just the fun of the video shoot. So check it out.
Into next. Gold fingers, nigga.
Right, they had me doing the shit just like that. Hey, they cold as fuck. Pictures was clean, bro.
I bet.
Pictures
You
super.
gonna be, that's your next journey. Hand
I
modeling,
told him I
dog.
said tag me. I'm reposting it. I'm pushing the agenda, dog. I'm pushing my shit up.
If I'd have known I had a shoot today. Hey, right. You gonna be walking around with gloves on and shit. Like, hey, I can't touch nothing right now.
No more rolling blunts.
Yeah, I can't do that. My hands, they money.
Fingertips. I can't burn at the fingertips, dog. I got my gloves at the gym now. No cutting the fingers up.
Right. I can't do all that. My hands is valuable, I nip a finger, I fuck up a whole check. You know what I'm saying?
Gold fingers. That's what I'm.
Day 5 was like a typical Sunday for me, but it was so awesome because it was like a typical Sunday, but it was a typical Sunday that I spent with Mike and AR, and I just thought that was super dope. And Michelle, honestly, like, big shout out to Michelle. I wanted to talk about her too. Like, Michelle was so, this is her home that I'm coming into. I don't know Michelle nearly as well as Mike and AR, but she was so sweet to me, just so nice, super supportive. Like, she constantly said, like, hey, if you want to shoot some photos, because Michelle's an amazing photographer, she's like, if you want to shoot some photos, just let me know, we'll knock it out. And that was like the tone of Sunday. So it was awesome. Mike and I just right off the bat got back in the gym, and just did, again, like I talked about his process, just went through all that. And by the time we got out of the gym, it just was like, oh my gosh, like the whole, how it is, like when you start your day off at the gym, like just how, the whole rest of the day just feels like you already feel like you've accomplished so much. And from there we went back, and Michelle's like, yeah, let's go. I found a basketball court, because I was telling her, like, I think I want to do like this basketball kind of photo shoot, because that's always kind of been my vibe. Like, I kind of have like the Hooper vibe to me. And so she's like, yeah, I found this court. So we went and we drove off to this court that was, about 10 minutes away from their apartment. And Michelle and I are taking some photos, and I just called Mike, and I'm like, Mike, you got to get your butt over here, bro. Like, we've been wanting to hoop, like, pretty much since we met. And I think it clicked with Mike when I had called him and asked him to come. So I think he was taking AR somewhere, but he scooted over to the basketball court, and we got to play some hoops on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, like with the mountains in the background. And here's just a few pictures, you'll see that I'm just showing here, just of the great work, Michelle did, and she edited all these. They're super nice. And And then after we got done with all that, we went back and we watched the Packers knock down the Seahawks and advance to the NFC Championship. So that was amazing. And while we were doing that, Mike cooked, and he cooked another amazing meal. And I'm just telling you, man, like day 5, like typical Sunday, like I really felt like the hospitality from them. So, all right, day 6. Oh my goodness, the trip really flew by, that's for sure. So I left Las Vegas pretty early in the morning. I got to have a really good conversation with Mike beforehand, and just super thankful for that. A lot of love there to think about. My mind was just flooding with a lot of stuff, if I'm being, perfectly honest. And I'm gonna play this vlog because I think this gives a real good picture of like where I was at as I left.
Yo, what's happening? It's Monday. It is January 14th, 2020. I am out here, just left Las Vegas to go visit Mike Regal and A.R. Wesley not too long ago. Here's just a little bit of the view. And got a long drive ahead, got a lot of things to think about. Just feel God speaking to me in a lot of ways, just giving more vision, more challenges, and just more opportunities to obey him, to love him, and to just honor him in everything. Again, how that all fleshes out in life, I think is just the journey, and that's what life is about. It's about walking through that, and about figuring out what that looks like for you as you pursue Jesus. So that's really where I'm at right now. I think it's a beautiful place to be, and I'm just looking forward to whatever God's going to say to me on this drive home. But thank you everybody out there who's been supporting, been praying for me, and just everything like that along the way. I greatly appreciate it. I love y'all, and just want to give that love right back that God's given me. So, hey, y'all take care. Y'all keep working hard out there on your Monday morning, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Like the fear and the doubts really started to creep up on me, and I had to pull over to the side of the road and make another video just to share where I was at, and I wanted to share that one with you as well.
Just feeling like really got some things to figure out when I get home, what God wants me to do ultimately. But yeah, it's super real, man. Like, I gotta be honest, like I got a lot of weaknesses, you know what I'm saying? Just areas that I'm not quite there, not quite where I need to be. And man, just a lot of that. And I know God's gonna make me stronger. He's made me a whole lot stronger. I'm way stronger than I used to be, a few years ago, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But man, still got a ways to go, and that's really just how I've been feeling right now. And yeah, just wanted to share that thought. Right outside of Salt Lake City right now. Never been to Salt Lake City, so I'm thinking about maybe dropping in there for a second. But yeah, man, and you know what? It's all good. It's not the end of the world if you got weaknesses. As humans, we're all going to be weak at times. Just trust the Lord that he's going to make you stronger, and he's going to take you further, I'm just thinking of the weight room right now. Like, I'm thinking of the gym, and sometimes you get in there and you feel weak when you hit certain weight, but if you keep at it, keep consistency in the gym, you'll find that weight that seemed like it was really heavy when you first started getting in there, you'll all of a sudden over time you'll get stronger, and that weight will be less and less and less. That's just what I'm thinking about right now. Weight room. That's a big motivating thing I'm gonna have when I get back, is I'm gonna be in the gym a lot. Just working on the body and making sure that the body is physically strong, as well as emotionally and spiritually, all that, financially,
all that stuff, looking to get that, strengthen that moving forward. So, all right, y'all, I'm going to get going. Just want to leave y'all with that thought. Take care. Peace. I was feeling this way. I had vlogged about that. And then literally I went and I watched a sermon by Mike Todd from Transformation Church, which is a church that I follow pretty regularly, watch their sermons. And it was just crazy because he literally talked about being strong in weaknesses. And you know, the main idea is just giving your weaknesses over to God and revealing them, expressing them to him, and allowing him to step into them, and then allowing him to leverage those weaknesses for his glory. So that's something that I was really sitting with and just fighting through. And by the time I had gotten to my first stop, so my goal was to get to a hotel just outside of Denver. So it was about 11 hours that I drove when I left Las Vegas. And the last like 2 hours of the road trip were pretty brutal. It started to snow. I couldn't see anything. I was out in the middle of nowhere in the Colorado mountains. So yeah, it was, you know, all these things, just thinking about all these things, I was just exhausted. So by the time I got to my hotel, I was just like, I'm out. I was like, I'm out. And yeah, but definitely a trying day, but felt like I made it through. Well, God got me through in my weaknesses. So how's that? So that was day 6 of the road trip. My attitude was not good. It just was, I was very much caught up in like the whole, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do when I get back? Oh my gosh, how am I gonna make this decision? Oh my gosh, like, just like very, not in a good space, honestly. And it just took driving and like listening to music and whatever. Like, I think I listened to Jake, Brave Church, on Tuesday. And then finally, when I took the time to actually pray, is when God really spoke to me, and I really started to feel like, oh, okay. And there was really like a moment where prayer completely shifted my mindset. And then shortly after, I talked to ATK on the phone, and we had a good chat, and he definitely helped. Just reminding me that, you know, we're really working on some stuff like with the ministry side of rap with ATK Ministries, and just what the heart behind that is, like, just all for the youth, all for Jesus, like, and just reminding me like this is not just a solo Nate thing anymore, which is sometimes what the enemy tries to tell me with my music. It's just, oh, this is just all about you. And you know, no, like this is like I'm working with a guy who has an amazing heart for the youth of Milwaukee. Has been a teacher in Milwaukee Lutheran High School for over 10 years. Like, no, and that was just really helpful. So thank you, ATK. But what I really started to appreciate was thinking about the fact that I was almost, you know, I was on my way from Denver to Iowa City, so I'm in Nebraska. And I'm actually thinking like, well, God already took me from Milwaukee to, you know, all the way across the country to Las Vegas. And now I'm like on the home stretch on the way back. And the video went really well. And I made good connections with Mike. And I got to share my faith. Like, all the things that I wanted to do, God did. And I didn't even take the time to really just like appreciate that while I was driving, because I was too focused on the future. And I actually got on my Instagram story and shared and like ripped that thought off, just to like encourage people, because I don't know if people were encouraged by that when I shared it, but like for me it was a huge breakthrough, because there's just a lot of stuff that I was really wrestling with on day 7. But yeah, it was a great overall, like I think just mentally, like a mentally strong day, and yeah, glory to God for that. So that was day 7 of the trip. Hey, day 8, the last day of my Milwaukee to Las Vegas and back across the country, 3,560 miles, 8-day trip. Woo! So, taking you back to the end of day 7, because I was telling you a little bit about that before, and this time around, you know, I had driven 12 hours to get from Denver to Iowa City, and I had Steve, because I was staying at Steve and Cassie Earlbeck's house, my best friend from college, like I talked about before on day one, staying at their house, and he had texted me the address, and I had it go on, oh my gosh, I had it put on my GPS, and I was on my way there. Well, I text him and tell him when I'm about an hour out, I'm about an hour out, I'm almost there. And my route took me off the freeway and kind of took me into the country when I got into Iowa. And I didn't think anything of it. But as I was really getting tired and finally thinking, okay, I'm finally going to make it over to Steve's house. And then I texted him, I'm like, I'm 10 minutes away. And as soon as I texted him, I looked around me and I'm seeing like a bunch of houses in the country. And they're like pretty big houses, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I've been to Steve's house before. I know where he lives in Iowa City. This is not it. And I looked at my GPS and like his address that he sent me was the same address as another house, like way in the middle of Iowa. So I had to reroute, and fortunately it only took me another hour. I guess it could have been way worse, but I was pissed. I was so mad like that. My parents called me on that last hour and probably had a bad conversation with them because I was just in such a bad place mentally, you know, just frustrated, you know, just like, oh, like this sucks, you know, type thing. And anyway, by the time I finally did get to Steve and Cassie's, you know, Cassie was still awake, and Cassie, of course, is pregnant with their first son. And we sat down and talked, and it was just immediately like all the frustration was gone. It was amazing, and it was just great to see both of them and catch up. And I prayed for their baby son, that, you know, the birth and the delivery and just everything would go smooth. Still praying for y'all, by the way, if you're watching this. And yeah, it was just a good moment. And then Cassie went to bed, and Steve and I went down in the basement, and it literally felt like we were back at Green Hall on Coe College campus freshman year, just catching up and talking, and it was just so good. And then yeah, I got to sleep. Got a great night's sleep, slept in. Steve made breakfast for me in the morning. We had coffee. It was just so good. And then I was going to dip out really quick, but then Steve somehow talked me into playing a little N64, and that's just something we always used to do. It was like our ultimate like procrastination, like fun, take a break from life type game. And so that was a lot of fun, man.
You're gonna be leaving all mad and stuff.
Yeah, you know, it wouldn't be a time visiting Steven Earlbeck if we didn't get a quick run Mario Kart in.
I don't want to make you mad or anything before you gotta go.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna get pretty competitive, so
No, bring it here.
we'll see what happens. Well, I don't think he was going for this, but it turns out that dog Steve and I ended up tying in this cup race, as you can see, you know, rolling up
Who's
here.
gonna put in first?
Yeah, who is it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
Oh,
And it's down to the wire.
the dinosaur in the middle.
What are they gonna do?
Sorry, bro.
Bro, no way. No! What? Did they not see the scoreboard? It said 27-27. I didn't know they had a built-in tiebreaker in this, bro. That's crazy. Oh, good times. I'm just so thankful for that part of the trip, because I knew I had like a shorter drive from Iowa City to Milwaukee. And anyway, I went on my way, and I remember just pulling out to the gas station to fill up with my last tank of gas, and I just felt like so much love, so much of God's love, just for, you know, me and the trip and the people that I got to touch, like whether it was through conversations or, you know, Mike and AR or Steve and Cassie. Like, I just felt so much love. And you know, I think a lot of the feelings that I had felt about, like, a lot of these insecurities and doubts and anxieties, like, that I was fighting throughout the drive, they finally started to like fall down, and it felt really good. And from there, you know, my Aunt Barb sent me a sermon. Her and I talked the night before, had a nice little conversation, and I listened to the sermon she sent me, and And yeah, I got done listening to the sermon, and literally right when I got done listening to the sermon, I got the music video, the fully produced music video sent into my email. And that completely blew away my expectations, because I went into this trip like shooting that video was like one of the main goals, and I didn't know how that was all going to go, because a video can tend to be a complicated process, and my expectations were exceeded. I got the finished product before I even made it home. That was amazing, and I'll never forget this. I was about 30 minutes from Greenfield. I called my dad, and I told my dad, I was like, Dad, this is a victory phone call. And I explained to him how the mission was just accomplished, and I got the video back. And then I started singing him "See a Victory" by Elevation Worship, and he laughed and he said, Nate, you're a way better rapper than you are a singer. And I'm like, I know. Thanks, Dad, I think. So anyway, made it home safe. All glory to God. The trip was amazing. That was day 8. 8-day, 3,560 mile road trip. So from the beginning, I felt called to go out, to drive, and to do this. It was not just an easy decision. It was very difficult to do. There were conversations I had to have that were difficult. And ultimately, I had a ton of doubts before I took off for the trip. What I can say is throughout the trip, God showed up several times. His love was made very known. He allowed me plenty of times to enjoy it, and it was a great time. The trip itself was met with a lot of mental battles, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of insecurities realized and weaknesses revealed. But through all of that, just like I said before, God showed up and alleviated the anxiety, revealed the weaknesses, stepped into them, and crushed them. And by the time the trip was over, I felt victorious, I felt accomplished, and I felt that I could move forward to the next thing that God had for me. So I don't know how this relates to your life. I hope it does in some way. But I want to encourage you to pay attention to the things that God's calling you to do. Continue to seek them. Don't believe that doubt and fear mean that you shouldn't do it, that means that God's telling you not to do it. That's not the case. Expect resistance. Expect insecurities, anxieties, and fears to arise. Know that God can step into those and crush them and help move you forward, and recognize that we're all on a journey. So that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait for y'all to see the Black Camry video that I'm going to be posting here in the next few days, maybe next few weeks. I don't know the release date yet, but I hope y'all enjoy it. Take care.
Tell me, are you real enough to sacrifice? Everything you want is coming at a price. I want a lot of things that would be really nice, but I don't want to wait. Tell me, is that really right?